This is Ted, and by this time there's no possibility Ted believes the entire New Testament was written in all Greek and some Aramaic. What for additional to 1,000 years was documented, the original language was penned in or written in was all Greek and some Aramaic. There's no possibility Ted believes this is even remotely accurate, or the original language was all Greek and some Aramaic. Jesus and nearly all disciples were Hebrews. These were Hebrews. These were Jewish. These would have written this in Hebrew, in Temple and in Jerusalem and in Israel. At this time, these scrolls, these scriptures were in Hebrew. These spoke in Hebrew. These communicated in Hebrew. Their primary language in Temple and Jerusalem and in Israel, even then, was Hebrew. These read in Hebrew. These studied in Hebrew. These read and studied and learned scriptures in Hebrew. These learned memory verses in Hebrew. There's no possibility Ted believes by this time New Testament, if accurate and true and real and actual, would have been written in all Greek and some Aramaic. It would have been written in Hebrew. And real angels from original heaven, currently royal angels and real angels from original heaven, are telling Ted the entire New Testament is practically entirely worst religious fraud in history of weeviled earth. Who did this? It was done by Roman emperors. It was done by then Roman Empire. It was done then by Roman emperors to secret Roman emperors, then to Holy Roman Empire, but was never in slightest holy, then to Vatican and Roman Catholic Church. It was done to control the people, to get them under control, to get what was then called Christianity under some control after terribly persecuting them in Roman Colosseum and in Rome. After they had what happened with Rome getting burned and nearly entirely burned, they decided they better do something with getting this under control. You see, then they made many copies, and many copies went out, and many of these quote-unquote documented copies they had were copies of worst religious fraud in history of religion. You see, there's also no possibility anything written in Hebrew could have possibly even survived, hundreds of years with all of this persecution. It would have been burned. It would have been confiscated. It would have been taken with search and seizure. It would have been taken, maneuvered, stolen, burned, destroyed, trashed. You see, what you need to realize is some of this trashing, destroying, burning of Ted's information has already happened. Ted's seen it in only a few years. Therefore, I believe it's possible in 300 or 400 years, it could be some still have memories of Ted, or there's still something about Ted, and there's worse religious fraud for this coming. In other words, Ted's information at this point in time, he's afraid it's going to fade into complete obscurity. It will not carry forward. It will be completely destroyed. It will be completely burned. It will be completely confiscated and taken. And many countries and nations, there are enormous efforts to make sure Ted's information is not held by anybody other than quote-unquote government. What are keeping it or burning it and destroying it? People in government and governments. People that do searches and seizures. People that insist when they find out somebody has it that, we are supposed to get this. We're going to get it. People doing in intelligence, people in investigation, people in law enforcement, people in government, like at, top politics or a maximum politics level, maximum politicians, maximum in government, kind of like the U.S. federal government and state governments and county governments and city governments. Therefore, you need to realize Ted believes in angels, current royal angels and angels in original heaven are talented. It's worst religious fraud in history of any religions on earth. There's no possibility. Many of these were Hebrews and Jewish, wrote all things, the originals, in only Greek and some Aramaic. You can insist all you want. Were you there? Did you actually witness Jesus writing nothing? Do you believe also Jesus wrote nothing? Do you believe that's even possible? And then only specific disciples, where they do seem to understand. Gospels seem to be like plagiarized from each other. They seem to, they're supposed to be the eyewitness accounts or the witnesses, and they're real consistent. It's worse than consistent. They're actually looking like they're plagiarized from each other, or copied from each other. Different things changed around, and they're copied from each other. In other words, Ted by this time definitely believes New Testament is nearly entirely religious fraud, and quote-unquote the miracles of Jesus were not documented accurately. There's no possibility Ted can do these miracles of Jesus. Ted has tried. They're not possible. Ted's only human. What can a human do? Ted is human. There was never an ascension, therefore there never will be a descension for this coming. Jesus did not resurrect anything from complete dead. Jesus was not resurrected from complete dead or lived after dying on cross. There's no possibility Ted believes it's true. When Ted dies on earth, he is going to remain dead. He's hoping to be cremated. He wants to be cremated. He doesn't want his grave desecrated. He's not going to be resurrected after his death on earth, and he's not going to ascend. There's no dissension for this coming, and there's not going to be a dissension after the millennium of New Jerusalem, golden, outstanding, huge city descending from the sky. There's not going to be a coming of Jesus and angels with wings surrounding Jesus in clouds. Angels don't have physical wings. That is a metaphor for their spiritual ability, with no speed limits and no distance limits. Second coming expectations of Jesus, or what you call Jesus Christ to Christ, is never going to happen, humans of earth. Never. You are terribly deceived. Humans of earth, you are so deceived, you cannot believe it.